she'll see me. I'll go away and do something else. Because I was like, football, like the whole day, I feel like I just wasted the whole day. Like I got to do something spiritual. So it's a discipline to practice ourselves. I know we be on the road, doing road, driving, all types of hours and stuff like that. But I got to read. It's not an option not to read. And it's a lot of chapters, trust me. It takes hours to read and to pray for everybody. That's almost, for some people, that's almost half a day of work. But it has to be done because I got to hear from God and I got to hear clearly because I can't afford to make any decision that could cost you or to cost our lives. Sometimes we work so hard to look shiny on the outside. So we work so hard to pop up like a peacock, but we living like a puppet. So you look shiny on the outside, you look, feathers looking all colorful, but the whole time the devil's got you like on a string, just running you around. And the only way you cut those strings is through sanctification, setting yourself apart. All right, so let's go to Hebrews 7. We're in a lot of situations where we're around a lot of people that they talk about God. Maybe their Christianity is I'm positive, or Christianity is I mention Christ. Not I'm living for him. So I'm telling the students about Jesus, but I'm living for the devil. Something's not right about that. Well, obviously it's like this. That would be kind of hypocritical, you know what I'm saying? But so we have to we got to do better. All right, so Hebrews 7, verse 26. It just was talking about Melchizedek and how Jesus was called into the order and the priesthood of Melchizedek, and then it says that's who Abraham gave his tithes, his first tithe to. And verse 26 says, "For such an high priest became us." Y'all see that? Became us, right? For such a high priest. So it says Melchizedek was the highest of highest, and Jesus operated in that flow. And because we die with him, we're buried with him, we're resurrected with him, right? All right, so then over here, I don't know if you have read the scripture, it says, for such an high priest became us. It didn't say became the pastor or the minister. It says us, right? Y'all read that, right? Okay, look, let's keep on reading. It says, who is holy, harmless, undefiled, separate from sinners, and made higher than the heavens, who needeth not daily as those high priests to offer up sacrifice, first for his own sins and then for the people. For this he did once, and when he offered up himself. So this what it's saying is, okay, Jesus is after a different priest order. Now, when it said that he doesn't have to offer up himself daily as those high priests, they're talking about in the wilderness, in the tabernacle, what they did was they had to offer up a sacrifice for themselves to make sure they were ready to accept the sacrifice you brought to the altar. But it says Jesus offered himself up once for all sin. So when we attach our faith to that as a high priest, a royal priesthood, 1 Peter 2 says we're a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a holy people. It says we're walking in that flow, that same flow. So we shouldn't be like, every day repenting from sin. We ain't rolling like that. We're trying to live as high priests. We're setting ourselves apart. We're not trying to conform. We're transforming our lives. The scripture says, I thought you was past that. You shouldn't be falling into the weakened, Galatians 4. And this is after it says, now the heir is no different. Verse 1 says, now the heir is no different than a servant as long as he's a child. Different nothing from a servant, though he be Lord of all. It says, but it's under tutors and governors to the appointed time of the Father. Even so, when we were children, selfish, thinking about ourselves, were in bondage under the elements of the world. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman under the law, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. And because ye are sons, God has sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. So we see ourselves as high priests, as sons of God. It says, wherefore thou art no more a servant, but a son. And if a son, then an heir of God through Christ. Howbeit then, when you knew not God, ye did service unto them which by nature are no gods. But now after that you have known God, or rather are known of God, how turn you again to the weak and beggarly elements wherein ye desire again to be in bondage? He said, I understand when you didn't know God. He says, but now that you know God, why are you even thirsting for anything that will bind you? Why is it even a consideration? See, this is what sanctification is. Sanctification is you want to be free and you want to see. See, listen to what I just said. Sanctification is, I want to be free. Now you say to yourself, of course, that's not necessarily the case. Some people want to be bound. Some people, when I say some people want to be bound, they're saying on the surface, I want to be free, but their choices are bondage. So that means you want to be bound. I don't want the responsibility of freedom because it's going to take sanctification. I want to see. You ever see people not, well, what? If I don't see it, then I'm not responsible for it. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. No, do you want to see? Do you really want to? Because see, you know when you see it, you got to be it. See, so sanctification, setting myself apart is, I want to be free, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to be free. And I want to see, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to see. No, see clearly, not partially. Not just a little bit. Not see, the scripture says you know, but you now you're looking through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now you know in part, but then you'll know even as you know. No, I want to go beyond just being in a cloud, being in a fog, like coming out of a shower. I want to see face to face who I am, and I want to be that. That's what sanctification is. Sanctification is I want to be free, but then I want to let others be free. I want to allow other people to be free to what they're designed to be. So this is how I think, and this is how I want to encourage you. See, freedom is I can express my sanctification and my holiness and my righteousness regardless of what everybody thinks. If I'm bound, I'm hiding it. Because it might not be acceptable, or it might not be cool, or somebody might think that who you think you are. But I'm free to be me. So when I deal with people, I usually tell them you express your corruption without judgment. Right? So they express their corruption all the time because we're so accommodating. Well, hey, you got to understand, people are still growing. People around you cussing and doing all types of stuff. You're not binding them up. They don't feel guilty about it either. All right, so then I should be able to express my holiness and my righteousness just as freely. So a lot of times you express your righteousness, you trying to judge me. No, I'm just choosing to go to church and I talk about scripture. You talk about rap. You talking about what you talk about? I talk about what I talk about. I've always been that way. They call me in offices. It's like, well, you're doing I did normative culture groups for a while in corrections, positive peer culture groups, basically just rap sessions, but they had names for them. So I said, well, we heard, your groups are going well, but we just have a question. Now, are you talking to the kids about the Bible? I said, well, I talk about the Bible because that's what I believe in. I said, I don't force it on them, but if they go to somebody and they ask the person that's the athlete about sports, they'll talk to them about sports. If they ask the doctor about medicine, they'll talk about medicine. They ask me about the Bible, I'm going to talk to them about the Bible. I said, so we're doing our rap sessions. If anybody asks me anything about God, I'm going to tell them. Oh, okay. They called me in the office. They said, well, we're thinking about giving you this position, but it's just one problem. All the other managers that we interviewed said, this guy's great, no riots, no this, that, and the other. We just have one problem. He reads the Bible too much. And so when when the lady said it, it was the deputy superintendent. I said, oh, man. I said, I thought you was going to say I had riots on my unit, or my unit was filthy, or my kids was out of control, or we wasn't complying with what we supposed to do. But Oh, yeah, I read the Bible. I said, during the morning, people go and they read the sports section. I read the Bible. While some people are watching videos and movies and stuff like that. While they're watching movies, I read the Bible. Kids may be playing sports. I choose not to play. I read the Bible. Oh, yeah, I read the Bible all the time. And you just looked at me. You really couldn't say nothing because it wasn't like I wasn't doing my job. I was being who I was. No one could say I was forcing it on anybody. I just would go off in the corner. Well, it wasn't really a corner. It'd be like right there. I'd just be reading the Bible. Studying all the time. I ended up getting a job. See, so again, if they're going to be who they are, you're going to be free to be who you are. Or you're going to conform because that's what they're saying is acceptable. See, this is the thing. When you I shared this with you a long time ago, but when you leave sanctification, you reduce yourself to a secret. When you leave sanctification, you reduce yourself to a secret. See, Adam and Eve, Genesis 3. They left out of the sanctification what God was the first thing they did. They hid themselves and they covered themselves. They became a secret. They became covert is what it's called. Undercover now. The greater the secret, the greater the compromise. Because you got to protect the secret. You got to keep hiding. Sanctification is all open. There's nothing. You don't have to hide sanctification. But you got to hide that secret, right? All right, so we all right? We good? It's Wednesday night. You probably weren't expecting this, but see, some Christians redirect all their desires for a thirst and fulfillment towards God, and they're rewarded. So what they're doing is everything that they lock into, my thirst and fulfillment is going to be God. I'm going to set myself apart because I just want to please God, and they're rewarded for that. Now, you have some people may do 65% of their focus is God, and another 35 is not. They're rewarded for that.